After 2 months of relentless unemployment, I unexpectedly received a job offer with an incredibly high salary, 100,000 yuan a month. The job description was simple, with only one key requirement: to be a private driver for the young master of the family and to always be ready to fulfill any request. On my first day of work, a series of strange comments suddenly appeared before my eyes. Oh my God, if this salary fell into my hands, I'd probably wake up laughing even in my dreams. Upstairs, do you know why? After receiving this 100,000 yuan salary, you might not be able to laugh anymore. Exactly. That young master, though physically disabled, has plenty of strength and cunning. Our little naive one will definitely have to suffer a lot. If I remember correctly, our little naive one is gay, right? Then who knows if they're enjoying it or being tormented. Don't jump to conclusions, everyone. Initially, I didn't pay much attention to these bizarre comments. Until one day, the young master suddenly leaned down and bit my nape hard. Come on, let's listen to the whole story. After 2 long, arduous months of unemployment, I suddenly received a recruitment email. Vienthin Technology Group was looking to hire a private driver with a proposed salary of 100,000 yuan a month. The only requirement was to always be ready to fulfill any request 24/7. It was clearly a fake ad. What kind of family hires a driver for 100,000 yuan a month? If you're going to make something up, at least make it sound a bit more real. So, I didn't bother with it. For the next 3 days, I kept receiving similar recruitment spam messages. That's when I started to get curious and went online to search for information about Vienthin Group. It turned out to be one of the leading science and technology companies in the country, with an incredibly renowned reputation. I took a chance and submitted my application. Unexpectedly, that same evening, I received a notification for an online interview. And what they called an interview was actually just a brief phone call, informing me that I had been hired and could start work the next day. The next day, I followed the provided address and rang the doorbell of a secluded villa located on the outskirts of the city. A middle-aged man, who looked like a butler, opened the door and led me inside. As we walked, he introduced himself. I am the butler here. You can call me Uncle Tran or Butler Tran. Either is fine. Since the job requires you to always be ready to fulfill any request, we have already arranged a room for you. It's on the first floor to the left. The young master is on the second floor. The young master is not working today, so your task for today is to test drive all the cars in the garage for a round to get acquainted. The keys are all in the cars. It's fine if you accidentally scratch or bump them lightly. Salary will be paid on the first of every month. If you do well, there will be additional bonuses. There are bonuses too. I was so shocked my mouth hung open. The butler smiled slightly and continued. Yes, if you do well, a salary of 1,000,000 yuan a month is not impossible. 1,000,000 yuan a month? Even if I sold both my kidneys, they wouldn't be worth that much money. Right at that moment, a few more lines of strange comments suddenly appeared before my eyes. Oh my God, if this salary fell into my hands, I'd probably wake up laughing even in my dreams. Upstairs, do you know why? After receiving this 100,000 yuan salary, you might not be able to laugh anymore. Exactly. That young master, though physically disabled, has plenty of strength and cunning. Our little naive one will definitely have to suffer a lot. If I remember correctly, our little naive one is gay, right? Then who knows if they're enjoying it or being tormented. Don't jump to conclusions, everyone. I was a bit confused, glancing around. Besides me and the butler, there wasn't a soul in the house. My heart began to pound erratically. These comments couldn't be talking about me, could they? What would I have to endure if the young master was disabled? And what does my being gay have to do with this? When we arrived at the garage, I instinctively looked inside and suddenly met a pair of deep, cold eyes. A man was sitting in a wheelchair, his face as cold as ice, his gaze at me both profound and carrying a strange hint of excitement. Young master, do you want to go out? The butler approached, asking respectfully. The man in the wheelchair said nothing, his eyes fixed on me without moving. That gloomy, cold stare inexplicably sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't help but shiver, and the thought of retreating had already begun to form in my mind. Right at that moment, A few more lines of comments appeared before my eyes. Here they come. Here they come. The young master is drooling. Poor naive one. Truly a lamb entering a tiger's mouth. There are rewards and punishments here. Everyone, guess where the young master will take his first bite. Actually, the freshest blood in the human body is in the inner thigh. That place must be the most delicious. Upstairs. Have you got the wrong channel? The young master just likes to bite people. He's not a vampire who sucks blood. What's so pitiful about it? He's about to get rich because of this. Butler said the bonus is actually 10,000 yuan for one bite from the young master. Likes to bite people? 10,000 yuan for one bite? Is there really such a good thing in this world? Then I'll have to bathe myself clean and offer myself up for him to bite. These comments were also too absurd. Initially, I didn't entirely believe what those comments said, until the butler pointed to a sports car parked in the corner of the garage and told me to drive it to take the young master out for a ride. When I clearly saw the car, my blood immediately boiled, and my heart pounded wildly as if it wanted to jump out of my chest. This was the first time in my life I had seen a real-life black Bugatti supercar. Uncle Tran, I've never driven such an expensive car before. I stammered. It's all right. These types of cars are all similar, and you'll have the young master sitting next to you to guide you, the butler reassured. I trembled as I got into the car, my hands shaking, not knowing where to put them. The young master, sitting in his wheelchair, used his hands to support himself on the passenger seat and transfer himself into the car. His deep eyes swept over me, and then he began to give a series of brief, clear commands. Start the engine. Shift into gear. Release the handbrake. Step on the accelerator. Go! The powerful roar of the engine tore through the silent air, numbing my head with excitement. Adrenaline surged through every nerve in my body. No man could resist this extreme feeling of exhilaration. We drove along the winding mountain road from the foot of the mountain to the summit. Upon reaching the summit, I parked the car by the roadside. My hands were still gripping the steering wheel tightly, and I was panting incessantly, my palms unknowingly drenched in sweat. Young master, we've reached the summit. Do you need to go back? I turned to ask. The young master raised his eyes and looked at me, his gaze as sharp as a keen blade. He looked at me until the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. After a long moment, his low, gloomy voice slowly sounded. Come here. I thought the young master had something to instruct me, so I didn't think much of it and immediately moved a little closer to him. Unexpectedly, the young master suddenly reached out and clamped tightly onto my neck, pushing my head down hard. Before I could react, he opened his mouth and bit fiercely into the back of my neck. His sharp teeth tore through the delicate skin and flesh on my nape. I couldn't help but let out a soft groan of pain. The comments before my eyes exploded violently again. It's starting. The young master really can't hold back for a single day. A little disappointed. Actually, the first bite was just on the nape. Even a first bite on the nape is very stimulating. Upstairs, do you want to finish it in one go? The words may be a bit crude, but the logic isn't crude at all. I also prefer this gradual approach. Give our little naive one some time to adapt. Adapt what? Don't forget, our little naive one is gay. Look, he's not struggling at all. Maybe he's even enjoying it. I'm gay, but I'm not a slut. Enjoying what? I'm dying of pain here. Are you done? I just wanted to see if biting once really did get me 10,000 yuan. The young master seemed to be biting very happily. Before letting go, he didn't forget to lightly lick the bite mark. I couldn't help but tremble all over, reaching out to cover my bleeding nape and staring at the young master. The young master licked his lips, revealing a look of complete satisfaction as he leaned back against the seat. His face, with its distinct, chiseled features, looked like a work of art. Beneath his long, curved eyelashes were eyes sparkling like stars in the night sky, beautiful beyond description. In that moment, I thought that even if there were no payment, countless people would surely be willing to let him bite. No way. The naive one's eyes have clearly changed. He wasn't moved after just one bite, was he? I think so too. Boo-hoo, naive one, you're too spineless. Who says the naive one is spineless? One bite is worth 10,000 yuan. Our little naive one is definitely just in it for the money. The young master had no intention of explaining his strange behavior, only uttering two faint words, "Go back." I had no choice but to retract my gaze and respectfully replied, "Yes, young master." When we returned to the villa, the butler was already waiting at the door. The young master propped himself up with his hands on the seat, transferred himself back into his wheelchair, and went straight inside. The butler stood still, smiling at me, looking at me in a way that made me not understand what was happening. "Little one, quickly tell the butler you just got bitten. Only then will you get the bonus." Exactly. Naive one, quickly tell him. "Uncle Tran," I hesitantly began. The young master, he bit me again. The butler revealed a look as if he understood everything. "Oh, my apologies, I forgot to tell you this. Our young master has a rather special hobby. He likes to bite people. But rest assured, we will definitely compensate you properly. One bite will be compensated with 10,000 yuan. I will transfer the money to you shortly. Can you accept this?" Yes, I can," I stammered. "That's good then. I'll transfer the money to you right away." The butler finished speaking and left with a satisfied expression. I drove the car into the garage and sat there in a daze for a long time, my nape still feeling a slight throbbing pain. My mobile phone received a transfer notification. I opened it and saw that it was indeed 10,000 yuan for one bite. So happy. More comments appeared before my eyes. "Isn't this money too easy to earn? The world of the rich is truly where money isn't money, but withdrawal slips. Just withdraw a random one, and you've got 10,000 yuan. Forget about the money for now." The naive one's dazed expression just now clearly showed he was moved. "It's all because the young master is too handsome. This won't do, little one. Your main task now is to earn a lot of money. Don't be foolish and let people bite you for free like that. Chuyu, this person is the type who eats people without spitting out their bones." "Chuyu? So the young master's name is Chuyu." I shook my buzzing head, trying to pull back my wandering thoughts. "I'm just a humble driver. How dare I dream of the high and mighty crown prince of Veen Thin Group?" I test drove all the cars in the garage to get acquainted, and in between, I took the opportunity to visit my old rental house. I moved all my personal belongings to the room arranged for me on the first floor to the left of the villa. The room was very large, decorated luxuriously, countless times better than my small, dilapidated old rental house. Having driven all day, my muscles were stiff. After a comfortable hot bath, I was about to climb into bed to sleep when my mobile phone received a message from the young master. The butler had told me during the day to add the young master's WeChat. "Come up." I froze for a moment. It was past 10 p.m., and the entire villa was incredibly quiet. Even the butler had returned to his room to rest. Why would the young master call me up there at this hour? I went upstairs with a confused and anxious mind. Someone really can't hold back for a moment. He just bit him in the morning, and the craving is back tonight. That's right. This craving seems really strong. So that's where the million-yuan salary comes from. If it keeps developing at this frequency, I think our little one could even reach a salary of 10 million yuan a month, no problem. After realizing what the young master wanted, I calmed down and gently knocked on the young master's bedroom door. After receiving permission from inside, I opened the door and entered, then obediently offered my neck to the young master. After about 2 seconds, Chuyu leaned down and bit. But this time, it wasn't my neck, it was my ear. Because my ear is much more sensitive than my neck. As soon as it touched the young master's warm, damp oral cavity, my whole body tingled. Sharp teeth pierced the delicate skin, and warm blood flowed down the curve of my ear. But before it could drip to the ground, he licked it clean with his tongue. The soft tongue continued to lick along the curve of my ear. I trembled uncontrollably. After a long time, the young master finally felt satisfied and let me go, his voice hoarse as he told me to leave. I took a deep breath, my steps a little unsteady as I returned to my room. As soon as I climbed into bed, the comments appeared again. "Oh my God, no way. I didn't misread that, did I? I said from the beginning that our little naive one is gay. Maybe he's even enjoying it." Upstairs, you didn't misread it. I just saw it too. The naive one got hard. These comments made me feel a bit awkward. I resolutely closed my eyes, refusing to look anymore. The physiological reaction in my body lingered stubbornly. I bit my lower lip tightly, enduring until sweat drenched me. My mind was filled with images of the young master using his wet lips and tongue to lick my ear. I reached up and touched my ear. It was very hot and a little throbbing. This delicate throbbing sensation only stimulated my body into a new round of trembling. I began to rub my ear vigorously. Only when my earlobe became swollen, hot, and the pain became even more intense did I pant and put my hand down my pants. The next day, I woke up and immediately went to find the butler. Uncle Tran, the young master, he bit me again last night. After the initial bit of awkwardness, I spoke much more directly this time. The butler was arranging freshly delivered bouquets of flowers in the living room. Hearing me, he didn't even look up, just calmly replied, "All right, I'll transfer the money to you shortly." I was about to turn and leave when more comments appeared. Naive one, your ear is so sensitive. Why didn't you know to negotiate with the butler for more money? 10,000 yuan isn't really worth it. My footsteps halted midway. Can you even negotiate for this? Exactly. Chu Yu is so rich. Ask for a little more, naive one. He even bled yesterday. Actually, don't say anything. I think we can even create a specific price list based on the naive one's body sensitivity. For example, nape 10,000, sensitive ear 50,000, 2 prominent points on the chest 100,000, and so on, ranked sequentially. How great would that be? If that's the case, I have a very bold idea. If one day the young master bites the naive one's coated part, wouldn't the naive one directly earn a lot of money? Uncle Tran, I tentatively began. The young master bit my ear last night. My ear is a bit more sensitive than other places, so could I get 50,000 yuan? The butler finally looked up at me, his face devoid of any expression. I immediately felt uneasy, like a drum pounding in my chest. I shouldn't have trusted those silly comments. I awkwardly wanted to give up the idea. No, you can't. The butler suddenly revealed a gentle smile. Xiao Shun, you've learned to negotiate. Very good. From now on, if you have any additional requests, just say them directly. I couldn't believe it and widened my eyes. 50,000 yuan, and he agreed, so easily? Why do I feel like I asked for too little? After breakfast, I drove the young master to his company for work. When we arrived at the office building, I got out of the car first, placed a prepared wheelchair next to the car door, and waited for a long time, but the young master still didn't get out. I wondered and asked, "Young master, do you need any help?" Yesterday, he clearly got out of the car himself as soon as it stopped. What's wrong today? The young master's craving has just returned. That's all. Little one, quickly go inside and let him bite you. I've already calculated your bonus this time. Now your total bonus is 60,000 yuan. Little one, keep it up. Reaching a salary of 1,000,000 yuan a month is no longer a distant dream. Shinju, come here. The young master suddenly spoke. Yes, young master. I obediently replied, then opened the back door of the car and sat beside him. I didn't know where he intended to bite this time, so I simply leaned my whole body close to him for convenience. The young master narrowed his eyes slightly, chose for about 2 seconds, and finally decided to bite hard into my Adam's apple. Why do I feel like the young master is systematically progressing step by step? I feel that way too. From the nape to the ear, then to the Adam's apple. Next time, will it be that place? Sisters, aren't you being too hasty? You're not even looking at anything below his neck and above his pelvis. Upstairs, you don't understand. Everything below our little naive one's neck is just legs. After the young master had bitten enough to be satisfied, he finally got out of the car and maneuvered his wheelchair into the building. I didn't follow him, but remained in the car, clutching my bleeding Adam's apple, trying to regulate my wildly pounding heart. After a long while, I took out my mobile phone, took a picture of my Adam's apple and collarbone, which clearly showed tooth marks, and sent it to the butler. Collarbone 100,000, lips 500,000. A few seconds after sending the message, I felt like I had asked for too much and intended to recall the message. Butler recalled the photo. In the future, You just need to tell me how much money it is. Don't send me photos anymore. Xiao Shun. Remember, never send me photos again. After receiving the transfer from the butler, I awkwardly recalled the photos I had just sent. Ha, butler, bless my soul. The young madam just sent me a photo of her intimacy with the young master. I'm dying of laughter. Butler, I'm just the young madam's ATM machine. That's all. These are not things I should be seeing. Thinking about how Chu Yu was angry just now because our little one was dazed. If he knew the butler had seen the photos, wouldn't he be furious and want to tear the butler to pieces? Does anyone else think our little one is adorable? He looks a bit silly, but he's a true little financial genius. Ha. Was the young master angry because I was dazed? But I was clearly just looking at the comments. The young master would call me up to his office to bite me every so often. Later, he simply had me sit in his office all the time, and whenever the craving returned, he would immediately pull me over for a satisfying bite. In just one day, I had many new marks on my body. My bank account balance also soared rapidly. In just one day, I had earned almost 1,000,000 yuan. That evening, I lay in bed happily counting my money. Tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, a million. 1.01 million yuan. I suddenly bolted upright from bed. Earning money this way felt a little guilty. So, I swiped a few times on my phone screen, found a reliable charity organization, and donated 100,000 yuan. Our little one is so kind. He suffered so much hardship when he was young, but he didn't complain about his fate at all when he grew up. The first thing he did after earning money was to donate to charity. Is this money earned legally? If the young master changes his mind and wants the money back, and the money has already been spent, what will our little one do? Change his mind? That won't happen. The young master earns money just for his wife to spend. Wife? Are they talking about me? I stared blankly at the tooth marks around my index finger for a moment, then slowly put my finger into my mouth, my tongue lightly licking the tooth marks. My whole body couldn't help but tremble, and my heart pounded so fast it felt like it would jump out of my chest. I pulled the blanket over my head, closed my eyes tightly, and continued to lick my finger with my tongue. I huddled under the covers until a flash of white light appeared in my mind. Then I trembled and let out a satisfied moan. When I opened my eyes, I saw that the comments were all teasing me. Ha, little one, why do you solve it yourself every day? I just realized our little one is a serious simp. I think only Chu Yu can satisfy this craving of our little one. See, who am I not talking about? Who gets aroused every day to the point of catching fire? I silently covered my face with my hands. In the following days, I regularly drove the young master to work and then obediently sat in his office waiting to be bitten. The young master's craving became more and more severe, but he never bit my lips again. In my heart, I couldn't help but feel a subtle disappointment. But fortunately, the exploding growth in my bank account balance somewhat compensated for these small disappointments. That Saturday morning, the young master had to go on a business trip. I drove him to the airport. When we arrived at the airport parking lot, I automatically moved closer to him. The young master paused for a moment, then a slight smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. But the more I looked closely, the meaning of that smile subtly changed in a strange way. His hand, with its clearly defined knuckles, lifted the hem of his own shirt and brought it to my mouth. Bite. My face flushed crimson. I obediently opened my mouth and took his shirt hem into my mouth. The young master buried his head in my chest and bit and sucked incessantly, biting once and then licking. The indescribable itching sensation made my whole body go soft. I couldn't help but gently push forward. The young master bit even harder. I let out a soft cry of pain and was then tightly clutched around the waist by the young master's hand, lifted straight up and placed on his lap. At this moment, I was like a puddle of mud, soft and weak in the young master's arms. Oh my God, isn't this already worth millions at the starting point? The young master's arm strength is amazing, easily hugging the little one. The little one is too well behaved. I want to take him home and keep him. After a long time, the young master spoke in a hoarse voice. Shinju, I have to go. I reluctantly climbed down from the young master's lap. As soon as my feet touched the ground, I immediately climbed back up, perching precariously on the young master's lap. Wrapping my arms around his neck, my face flushed and softly said, "Young master, bite my lips one more time, please." The young master chuckled softly, looked at me intently for a moment, then lowered his head and kissed my lips. This time, he didn't bite, but only held me tighter in his arms, gently rubbing my lips with his warm lips and tongue, sucking out every breath of air from my mouth. Long after they separated from that deep kiss, the young master said hoarsely, "Shunju, wait for me to come back." Since the young master said he would be back, I obediently stayed at the villa and waited, not going anywhere. Every day, I counted on my fingers how many more days until the young master would return. The butler, fearing I would be bored alone at home, specifically came to me and said, "Xiao Shun, while the young master is away, consider it your vacation time. You can go anywhere you want to play." "Yes, Uncle Tran, but I still prefer to stay home and wait for the young master to return," I replied. The butler reached up and stroked his non-existent beard on his chin, then left with a profound look. The young master said he would be on a business trip for a week, but he actually returned after half a month. On the day the young master returned, I specifically wore my newly bought clothes. From early morning, I drove to the airport to pick him up. Seeing the young master at that moment, I felt that all the weary days of waiting had become incredibly worthwhile. I took the young master's luggage from his accompanying secretary and placed it in the trunk. After waiting for the young master to support himself with his hands on the car frame and transfer himself into the car, I carefully placed his wheelchair in the trunk. I turned to get into the back seat, ready to let the young master bite me once to satisfy his craving, when I unexpectedly saw another young man in the back seat besides the young master. The young man had bright eyes and white teeth, leaning lazily against the seat, his delicate eyebrows carrying a smile as he looked at me. "Hello, are you my brother's driver? My name is Chu Chien. I'm the adopted son of the Chu family." "Huh? So the young master has an adopted younger brother too?" I was momentarily stunned, then withdrew my foot and respectfully greeted him. "Hello, young master. My name is Shunju." That evening, I lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Including today, the young master hadn't bitten me for 16 days straight. The ambiguous marks on my body had long since disappeared without a trace. About 2 hours later, I finally couldn't stand it anymore and crawled out of bed, went to gently knock on the young master's bedroom door. "Young master, do you want to bite me today?" I waited for a long time, but received no response from inside. I was about to turn away in disappointment when the door suddenly opened from within. Chu Chien appeared at the door, his face covered in bruises. His chest heaved violently, looking as if he had just been in a fierce fight. I nervously looked inside the room, afraid that the young master had been injured by Chu Chien. Fortunately, the young master was fine, sitting calmly in his wheelchair. Only his complexion was a bit gloomy and unpleasant. Chu Chien turned to look at me. His eyes, which were already angry, now became even darker. A moment later, he gritted his teeth and said, "Don't get bitten until you're ruined." My face immediately flushed, and I was too embarrassed to look him directly in the eyes. More lines of comments appeared before my eyes. "Chu Chien, this dark-hearted fellow must be going crazy with jealousy. He's liked his brother for so many years, and in the end, our little naive one snatched him away." I couldn't believe it and widened my eyes. The comments continued to appear. "Chu Chien, boo-hoo. Why does brother only bite him and not me? Huh, didn't get bitten but got beaten, didn't he? This isn't just a unique way for a brother to show affection, is it?" I'm dying of laughter. This is the first time I've seen someone willingly offer themselves to be bitten, only to be flat-out rejected, and then get so angry their face turns red. Chu Chien likes the young master. I looked at Chu Chien, then at the young master. The atmosphere between them was indeed a bit strange, not like normal brothers at all. Chu Chien stormed off to his room in a fit of anger. "Come here," the young master commanded me. In that moment, my mood suddenly became incredibly joyful. My steps felt much lighter as I approached him, and then I was scooped up by the young master by the waist and placed on his lap. The next second, my mouth was sealed by a deep kiss. The young master closed his eyes tightly, one hand holding the back of my neck, kissing deep into my mouth. I slightly parted my lips, panting, and then my tongue was lightly bitten by him. It didn't hurt at all, but it was very itchy and uncomfortable. Perhaps it was out of a desire for revenge. Chu Chien, who loved cars, would ask me to do this and that. He often called me at 2 or 3 a.m., ordering me to pick him up from bars and drive him home. After a few such encounters, our relationship seemed to undergo some subtle changes, a bit closer, yet still not compatible at all. Many times he would be so drunk he was completely limp, constantly calling out his brother's name. Sometimes he would point to the bite marks on my neck and question who bit me. I didn't want to provoke him further, so I didn't answer. He would then persist, gripping my neck tightly. "Was it my brother who bit you?" He was clearly asking on purpose. I remained silent. In a way, he and I could be considered to be in the same boat, both loving the young master but not receiving a reciprocal response. The only difference was that I was a bit luckier than him, in that the young master liked to bite me, but it stopped at just liking to bite me. Nothing else happened at all. Chu Chien squeezed the bite mark on my neck, his eyes gradually reddening, and his voice hoarsely asked again, "Shinju, why does my brother only bite you and not me?" To be honest, I also really wanted to know why. Why would the young master pay such an exorbitant salary just to hire me to bite me to his heart's content? In that moment, I suddenly recalled the image of the child in my dream. That child always unconsciously bit me. When I was 16, after my parents tragically passed away, I became a homeless orphan. On my way home from school that day, I saw a child huddled by a roadside trash can. The child looked about 11 or 12 years old, and their legs were disabled. I thought they must have been abandoned by their family because of their disability. So, I took them home and raised them. For a long time after that, we relied on each other to get by. Many times, we didn't even have enough food to eat. So, whenever the child fell asleep, they would always unconsciously bite my chest. At first, it was just gentle gnawing, but gradually it became so intense that my skin and flesh would tear and bleed, and the child would even unconsciously suck the blood. Initially, I tried to stop them, but later I saw that if they didn't bite, they would be uncomfortable and couldn't sleep peacefully, so I softened and let them do it. After a few months passed like that, one day when I returned home from school, the child had disappeared without a trace, leaving only a thank you letter and a considerable sum of money. That money helped me continue to finish high school and even college. Could that child be the young master? Before I could think clearly, Chu Chien suddenly leaned his face close to mine. His lips precisely pressed onto the bite mark the young master had left on my neck, and he even stuck out his tongue and licked it, as if trying to taste something. "Oh my God, what are you doing?" I pushed him away in fright. Chu Chien stumbled and fell beside the car. He simply lay on the ground indifferently, looking up at the garage ceiling and laughing loudly, but tears streamed endlessly from the corners of his eyes. Oh well, he looks pitiful enough. I was about to help him up when Chu Chien suddenly asked, "Do you know why I came back this time?" I didn't answer him, so he immediately asked and answered himself. "It's because my brother is about to get married. I came back to attend his wedding." My heart felt squeezed, and I froze in place, unable to move. Perhaps afraid I hadn't heard clearly, Chu Chien turned to look at me, his bloodshot eyes repeating once more, "Shunju, my brother is about to get married." I had thought about the young master getting married, but I never expected it to happen so quickly. The next day, news of the Chu and Lin families confirming their alliance through marriage immediately topped the hot search trends on social media. Miss Lin from a Lin family was named Lin Yueshi, currently a rising entertainment star, so she herself brought a certain level of popularity. As soon as this news was posted, it immediately caused dissatisfaction among many of her fans. "Fake news, surely. Just a disabled person in a wheelchair wants to marry our Cece. Boo-hoo! Help my precious Cece. That disabled guy. Don't you dare come near her." I sat in the office, scrolling through these comments, so angry that my eyes turned red. I immediately reported a string of malicious comments. I turned off my phone, and more comments appeared before my eyes. "Boo-hoo! What will our naive one do if the young master gets married? What to do? Our little one is already loaded with money. Going anywhere is just a matter of buying a plane ticket, isn't it? Has everyone not noticed? Ever since the young master went on that business trip, our little one hasn't gone to the butler to ask for a bonus for a very long time. This must be true love. How sad will our little one be if the young master gets married? Before I could even feel sad, the office door was suddenly opened from the outside. A woman dressed from head to toe in layers walked in. I vaguely watched her remove her mask and face covering, revealing an incredibly beautiful face. Because I had watched that hot search repeatedly on my phone this morning, I immediately recognized her as the rising star Lin Yueshi and also the person about to marry the young master. Hello, miss. The young master is in a meeting. He's not here right now. I spoke first. Perhaps not expecting anyone else in the office, Lin Yueshi flinched and turned to look at me. Her large, round eyes were full of curiosity. I proactively explained my identity. I am the young master's private driver. Oh, hello, she replied. When the young master returned to the office after his meeting, Lin Yueshi and I were still in a staring contest. Seeing the young master return, she immediately jumped up from the sofa and happily ran towards him. Brother Chu Yu. The smile on her face was exactly like a kitten playfully teasing, her eyes sparkling like stars. When did you get back? The young master's mouth curved into a slight smile, and even his voice became much gentler than usual. I just got back yesterday. The two of them continued to ask and answer each other, chatting and laughing. It was clearly a very warm and harmonious scene, but I felt it was strangely dazzling. I quietly left the office, went straight down to the garage, and curled up in the back seat of the car. In my mind, the image of the thin, sickly child huddled in my arms, unconsciously biting and sucking on me, appeared. Gradually, the figures of that child and the young master overlapped. At that time, that child didn't like to talk much, only calling me brother. When hungry, they called. When uncomfortable, they called. Even when I wouldn't let them bite, they still called. They called so much that even after they had left, the sound of brother echoed endlessly in my mind. That day, I waited a long time, but the young master didn't call me up to the office. So when Chuchian called and invited me for a drink, I immediately agreed without hesitation and got completely drunk with him. The two of us stumbled out of the bar, supporting each other, when suddenly the image of a man in a wheelchair appeared in front of us. The young master was sitting in his wheelchair, his eyes as sharp as a thin blade, his face terrifyingly gloomy. I immediately sobered up halfway. Chu Chien was still completely drunk, pulling my arm, pointing at the man in the wheelchair, and babbling nonsense. Shenju, look, doesn't he look like my brother? What do you say? Should we tie him up and take him home to play for a few days? I was so scared that I quickly put my hand over Chu Chien's mouth. The butler, who had appeared out of nowhere, pulled Chu Chien away from me with one hand. Young master, wait a moment. I'll go get the car right away. I stood there rigid, bowing my head, not daring to look directly into the young master's eyes. On the way home, Chu Chien sat in the passenger seat, still slurring his words, demanding to go back to the bar to tie someone up and bring them home to play. He even acted very generously, wanting to share the spoils with me. 1, 2, 3 for you to play, 2 for me to play, and on Sunday. As he spoke, the young master's expression grew colder with each sentence. Sitting next to him, I also shivered from the cold aura. In the front, Chu Chien was still enthusiastically planning. On Sunday, we'll play together, okay, Shinju? The comments started again, enjoying the drama, not fearing any bigger trouble, dying of laughter. This is the first time I've seen someone dare to discuss this kind of thing right in front of the actual person. Ha ha. Actually, it's fine for 3 people to be together. Chu Chien is quite charming when he goes crazy, isn't he? Our little naive one. Quickly learn from him. Tie up the young master. Chu Chien, not getting an answer from me, looked dissatisfied and turned his head. As soon as he saw the young master sitting in the back seat, he froze for a few seconds, then laughed and said, Shenju, you're not honest at all. You tied someone up and didn't even tell me. Are you trying to monopolize him? I couldn't help but put my hand over his mouth, and at the same time, lightly tapped his head. Chu Chien groaned all the way home, and I didn't dare to let go of his mouth for a single moment. When we got home, the butler carried the drunken Chu Chien away, and only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. The young master got out of the car, sitting in his wheelchair, staring at me, his eyes filled with complex emotions that I completely couldn't understand. My heart suddenly pounded, and I instinctively apologized first. Sorry, young master. Next time I won't be like this again. Come here, the young master commanded me. His voice was cold. I walked closer with a worried and uneasy heart, and then I was hugged around the waist by the young master and placed on his lap. The young master took me straight to his bedroom, his fingers tightening around my waist. Why did you go drinking? I couldn't answer this question, only repeatedly lowering my head and apologizing. Sorry, young master. The young master increased the pressure of his hand, and my waist ached from his tight grip. His deep black eyes and handsome features carried a cold aura. He asked again in a deep voice, Shunju, I asked you why you went drinking? Why? Because you're about to get married, because you and that star were in the office for hours without calling me up, but I don't even have the right to be sad. Shunju, speak. The young master's voice at this moment was like a dark, still night sea. I took a deep breath, tried to hide the bitterness rising in my heart. When I opened my mouth to speak, my voice choked with emotion. Sorry, young master, I know it was my fault. Tomorrow I will resign. Upon hearing this, the young master's expression immediately changed drastically. He squeezed my face with his hand, and a raging fire swirled in his eyes. Say that again. Tomorrow I will. Before I could finish my sentence, his lips and tongue sealed mine. His kiss was like a wild storm descending, carrying a domineering and frenzied intensity that could not be refused. His strong tongue pried open my lips and teeth, pushing deep inside, immediately seizing all my senses. Until my clothes were completely stripped off, the young master bit hard into my chest muscle. His hand traced my waist, sliding down to my pant line. Only then did I come to my senses, as if waking from a trance. Young master, no, don't. The young master looked up at me, his beautiful eyebrows filled with possessive desire. Our eyes met for a moment, and then his eyes suddenly reddened. His fingers caressed my side. Then he very gently asked, Brother, when will you finally recognize me? Suddenly, my heart felt squeezed with pain. The corners of my eyes instantly tightened and flushed, and a warm mist quickly welled up, blurring the image of the young master's beautiful eyebrows before my eyes. So he had always remembered everything. The tears streaming down my cheeks were gently wiped away by him. The young master lifted my face, his eyes swirling with desire, and his voice hoarsely asked, Can I, brother? My heart suddenly trembled. I turned my face away, my voice a bit uncomfortable. You're about to get married. Don't do anything wrong. The young master chuckled softly. So, you went drinking to drown your sorrows because I'm about to get married? Brother, do you like me? I remained silent. He knew. He must have known all along, which is why he deliberately forced me to say that answer just now. But even if I did say it, could he really not get married? After a long while, the young master sighed. That marriage is fake. I've been looking for you for so long. How could I marry someone else? That night, Chu Chien caused a drunken ruckus outside, while I was pressed onto the young master's lap. He kissed me for a very long time, and the young master still wouldn't stop. When I woke up, it was already the afternoon of the next day. The young master was not in the room. I slowly got out of bed, my head aching. As soon as I stepped out of the room, I was grabbed by Chu Chien by the neck and pinned against the wall. He lifted my shirt. After seeing my entire body covered in ambiguous marks, he couldn't stand it anymore. His bloodshot eyes stared at me, and he gritted his teeth and said, Shunju, you're a bastard. You're shameless. I guiltily pulled my shirt back from his hand, let it fall, and then smoothed it down. After covering up all the ambiguous marks on my body, I carefully said, Nothing happened between us. Don't think too much. Comments, haha. Truly adding fuel to the fire. Chu Chien, please give me some peanuts to eat with this drama. This is the first time I've seen someone lie so brazenly. Dying of laughter. Little one, you need some shame. A few days later, the head of the Lin family suddenly passed away. After Lin Yueshi had established a firm foothold in the Lin family, the marriage alliance between the Chu and Lin families was immediately announced to be canceled. On the day Chu Qian was preparing to go abroad, I drove him to the airport. Before leaving, he still deliberately annoyed me one more time. Shinju, my brother's feelings for you are just gratitude. It's not love at all. After Chu Qian found out about me and the young master, he had repeated this sentence countless times. I nodded in agreement. I think what you said is right. You two won't last long, but he will always be my brother. He and I will always have an unbreakable bond. You're right. Shinju. Chu Qian's face turned red with anger. I won't let you live in peace. After saying those malicious words, he walked a few steps, then turned back to me, his face filled with resentment and unwillingness. Shinju, I'm giving my brother to you. Come here for a moment. I want to tell you something. What is it? I leaned my head closer in confusion. Chu Qian grabbed my ear and whispered. He told me that the young master had been kidnapped that year and disappeared for 3 years. When he was finally found and returned, not only were his legs disabled, but whenever he fell asleep, he always wanted to bite something. But no matter what he bit, he couldn't feel satisfied. Later, he even developed self-harming behavior, often biting his arm until it bled. Brother once came back looking for you, but the neighbors there said you were dead. Actually, at that time, I just had a high fever and went into a coma, so I was taken to the emergency room by ambulance. We all thought he had given up. I never expected him to keep searching for you all these years. Shinju, if you dare to betray my brother, I will never forgive you. After seeing Chu Qian off, I rushed home, went straight up to the second floor, and then jumped onto the young master's lap, kissing him relentlessly. After kissing his lips, I continued to kiss his arm. There were indeed quite a few scars of varying depths on the young master's arm. Although he bit me a bit forcefully, those marks faded after a few days and didn't leave scars at all. How could he be so cruel to himself when he bit himself? The young master held my waist tightly. Brother, if you feel bad, just let me bite you more. Before I could react, my clothes were completely stripped off. The young master buried his head in my chest, biting and tearing incessantly. The wheelchair slowly moved towards the large bed in the bedroom. The young master stripped off my clothes and placed me on the bed. 2 hours later, I stared blankly at the ceiling. The young master held me tightly in his arms, kissing me all over from my temples to my eyelids. His fingertips repeatedly stroked my face and the back of my neck, as if he were holding a rediscovered treasure. He didn't want to let go for even a moment. After waiting so long, we finally waited until the day you two got together. I can leave feeling fulfilled now. If our little naive one still wants a bonus, this time it should be worth at least 10 million yuan. What a pity, what a pity. What's pitiful? Our little naive one is very smart. The young master himself is worth much more than many tens of millions of yuan combined. Actually, the whole bite for a bonus thing was just the young master wanting an excuse to legitimately give the little one pocket money. With the young master's immense wealth, the little one just needs to open their mouth and ask for as much money as they want. What a beautiful couple. Mission accomplished. +1. This is the end of the story. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support me.